It is finally here, my fellow Chibits. D.Gray-man's continuation in anime form is finally out. The first episode has come out today. Now, I wasn't a fan of D.Gray-man when the anime was still airing. But I will say this, I'm still glad to see it finally out, and I'm glad to see a continuation, because I know there's many series that I felt very happy seeing a continuation after many, many years, and I can actually relate with many fans of D.Gray-man, and so this was just such a good sight to see D.Gray-man back in anime form, and I just can't believe it's been 8 years. 8 fucking years since D.Gray-man had an anime. Can you all just think about that for a second? 8 years of your life it's been since the last season, the last anime of D.Gray-man. That's just crazy. Just 8 years. So, it's been a very long time, and I just gotta say right now, I'm just really happy to see it in anime form. I'm glad to see this series, and with recent content, like some of the new content in the manga finally being adapted into an anime, and instead of just always having to read the manga, I'm just glad to see it. So, the first episode has a lot of impact, leaves off on a glorious cliffhanger, such a great way to end the anime off of, and I'm just glad to finally see these scenes animated. So, let's talk about the animation, the art, to the presentation of the first episode of D.Gray-man's return, and also the finale and stuff like that when it came to this episode. So, the art and animation, overall, it looks good, it does, but it's nothing spectacular. I gotta be honest here. Even though I love D.Gray-man, I'm a fan of the series, I will say, however, that the art animation isn't necessarily the best I have seen from the season, but it is not bad. It's not straight up terrible where I want to just regurgitate and be like, oh, all over the place. No, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good when I compare it up against some other series from this season. You might know what I'm talking about. So D.Gray-man, it's not really that big of an issue, but if there is one issue when it comes to the art and animation, it would probably be the frame rate. There is a very apparent issue while watching this episode that there's some form of frame rate issue where it's kind of like stuttery. And I don't know necessarily if that's because of Funimation and all that, or maybe it was just actually the broadcasting. I have no idea, but there was some form of frame rate issue while watching this episode, and hopefully this is not something that's going to be reoccurring in future episodes. But besides that, however, let's talk about the good. I mean, D.Gray-man's fucking back. Why am I focusing on the bad shit? Like, let me get the fuck off that, okay? It's been 8 years. Let's just be happy we have a new anime of D.Gray-man. I mean, seriously. It's not being completely butchered. It's not necessarily being completely rushed, so let's just be happy what we're getting. Let's just be happy with the anime here. So, the content of this episode mainly focuses around Mana, Alan, and Cross. And majority of this episode is just showcasing how Alan is slowly losing himself to the 14th, the Noah. And that means that his character eventually, one day down the road, his memories will be completely gone and he'll become an entirely new person. That's what this episode was really trying to imply, how Alan's down the path to where there's this creeping voice in his head that's implanted his memories inside of Alan, and Alan's true self that he once was will eventually disappear to become something else. And that's kind of what this episode was trying to set up. And I really like the presentation. It really adds a very, I guess, dark tone to D.Gray-man's start with a new continuation of the anime. Now, I don't know necessarily how long this anime series is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be 13 episodes. I have no idea if it's going to be 24 episodes. I have no idea if it's going to be a long-running series. I have no idea how long D.Gray-man is going to be in anime form, which I really hope it is around for a while. I'd like to see some events that happen later on down the road, like some of the newest events that happen in the manga. I'd like to see some of those animated, but I don't know if we've not reached that point or not. But, however, I really like the tone that this episode tried to start off with. It showed some of the things that made Alan who he was, and he also is questioning, was Mana really who he was? For instance, did Mana really care about Alan, or did he only care about the person that was inside of Alan? For instance, Mana's supposed brother. And so there was a lot of mysteries added in this episode, a lot of questions, and it made you wonder exactly what is going on here, and why does the 14th want to kill the Millennium Earl? So, I mean, a lot of questions were raised in this episode, and it was just a great start to start the continuation. And I know many, myself included, would probably be very confused, and I had to actually go back and read a couple of the chapters and stuff before this, chapter in the anime, just for I could actually understand what is completely going on, because it's been a while since I've seen the content of what is going on in this part of the series, since I binge read, D.Gray-man quite a while ago. I think it was around around 6 months ago, wasn't it? Yeah, it was around 6, maybe 8 months ago. I binge read D.Gray-man. I read a lot of D.Gray-man in one sitting, and it's a series that honestly you need to reread multiple times to get the full grasp of what is going on. And so it's been a while. I was a little bit confused with some of the things throughout this episode, and I had to refresh myself by going back and reading some chapters. But overall, I kind of understand everything is going on in this, episode of D.Gray-man's continuation. So yeah, it was a great start. But speaking of the cliffhanger now, I need to talk about that. General Cross, he died. Apparently he was assassinated from what we can see. He is completely dead as fuck. You see him up against the window and he's bleeding out. You just see all this blood everywhere. Very grim and dark start, like I've already said. It's definitely setting the tone of what we can expect from the future of D.Gray-man. And General Cross, one of the strongest people we know in the series, being killed like that is just like, what the fuck? Like, it just makes your mouth drop. You're like, of all people, of all characters, and then this information we got in this episode, I mean, he's dead like that? It just really shows you, like, holy hell, what is going on here? What can we expect from this season? So I'm really excited. I'm really, really fucking excited to see what will happen. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Anime onlys and manga readers, how do you feel about this continuation of D.Gray-man? Are you happy? Are you upset? How do you feel about the music? The music, fuck, I love that music. I love the opening song, by the way. Oh, that's probably one of my favorite openings of this season. Easy. One of my favorites. So yeah, how do you feel about the opening song? How do you feel about the music? How do you feel about the continuation? How do you feel about the voice acting? How do you feel about all of this that happened in this episode? I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.